Yay. Okay. So hello, everybody. I can't see anybody, so I feel like I'm at this disadvantage. I'm looking at myself here. But first of all, I wanted to say my name is Christie Wanderer, and I'm one of the owners with my husband at Forge and Foundry downtown Main Street here in Stillwater. We just opened in August during the pandemic, which has been very interesting. I want to thank Jody and everyone at the Stillwater Library for having me. I was just really excited. We love the library, and as we were talking before, my kids, I've got twin boys, and they're constantly at the library, and we're constantly checking out like 30 books at a time. And so I totally jumped on this because it's so fun, and I'm so excited that all of you wanted to do this. So what we're going to do a little bit is I want to tell you, I am not an expert. I know you probably signed in thinking you're going to get an expert. I'm not an expert, but I am an advanced expertise. I guess I don't know what you call it. But anyways, so I have learned a lot by opening a cocktail lounge here in Stillwater. And so what I want to do is I want to go through the things that I've learned. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through 4 different recipes. They're based on authors, and then we've got one based off of a character. And then we'll talk a little bit about that and how they incorporate the drinks and how you can maybe, change them up too. So a couple things I want to talk about is that when you're building your bar at home, there's some key things that you're going to want to have. And the first thing is you probably have seen a shaker. So you've seen a shaker, probably looks like this. This is the one that I have at home. We've got a little screw top thing that's probably 1 ounce. It's got a strainer on it, comes off. These are nice, but I find that, I don't know, I have a hard time. Mine constantly leaks at home. Sometimes I can't get the top off, sometimes this. So I don't love this. This is not my favorite shaker. So I want to introduce you to something that I hope that you'll get used to and want to do. So maybe you've seen these at bars. These are what we call the Boston shakers. And sometimes these will come in a glass, sometimes they're metal, and then they just snip together like that. You go to shake it. You look very professional at home, doing your shaking back and forth. And then they just really snap open and you can pour. And these have such a better friction with the ice. And then also the steel, I think, is much better. So when you think about building your bar, think about getting a Boston shaker for your shaker. So that's my first advice. Second thing you're going to want is a jigger. And jiggers come in different sizes. You'll see this. There's ones that have like a little bell jigger. They come in, like the one I have at home is like 0.75 and 1 ounce. This is a Japanese jigger. It has a 1 ounce on one side and then a 2 ounce on the other side. And the reason that I really like this is because a lot of recipes call for 2 ounces of alcohol, or 1 ounce, or ½ an ounce, or 3/4. And the really wonderful thing about this one is that, and it's going to be hard to see, but there are little marks on the inside of this. So when you're looking at a recipe and you need 3/4, you don't have to guess. It's right in there, and then you get the exact amount that you need. So when you're building your bar, look for one with like a 1, a 2, and then the lines on the inside. That's really going to help you, when you're exacting your recipes. So second thing. So the old thing, you've got drinks that are shaken. You've got drinks that are muddled. So sometimes, like a mojito, you're going to want a muddler. So what this would be for is that you've got a Collins glass. You're going to put your mint in the bottom and your sugar. You're going to muddle that. And so then you're going to want a muddler. This one happens to be a metal one. We use the metal one here. I've got a wood one at home. I think for the use, if you're going to use it a lot, a metal one is really nice, but the wood ones are just fine. That's what I have at home. So shaken, muddled. Then we've got the stirred drinks. Now, I know for me, this is intimidating. A stirred drink, oh my God. What are we going to do with a stirred drink? So you want to get a nice, beautiful thing, beautiful stir. And then you're going to do a bar spoon so that you can stir. And bar spoons come in all different sizes. This one is a smooth edge. They've got ones that've got like little twists on them. They come in different sizes too, depending on what you like, because what you're going to end up doing is stirring, and whether you like to stir like this I've seen people not even use the spoon because they don't like to get behind the ice. They just use the other side like that. And then there's one that comes about like this high. I should grab that one. That's a huge, huge one. But it's just, you know, how fancy you're going to end up being when you're stirring. So that's another tip. So we got our bar spoons, we got our things. The other thing that you're going to have is what we call, this is a Hawthorne strainer. And it's got, what is this called? Like a string on it. Yeah. And excuse me. And so what this is going to be is once you've mixed your drinks, you've got your ice in here, you want to put it on top, and it's got a spring loaded so that it can push it up and down so that you can block that ice when you're going to go and pour it. And so this is a great thing. And I believe this works so much better and catches a lot more of the ice because these are much finer than using this, which has pretty big holes in it. And when you're doing a drink that is very spirit forward, so you are going to want to cool it, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about some of the drinks. But when you want to cool it down, but you don't want to get all that ice to dilute it once you have it in your cup. So you want something like this that's going to capture all that ice. And then the other thing is that sometimes this won't do everything. Sometimes it'll block the ice, but sometimes bits of, you know, like if you put in like a, you know, lime juice, and maybe the lime juice has a little bit more rind in it. Sometimes you really want it to be clear. So what you're going to have is a little strainer, a bar strainer, and then you would double strain it. So this would be one strain, this would be the other one. And this is just going to capture just more. So when you're doing like like when we're going to do the James Bond martini, we're going to double strain it so that we're catching everything and we're getting a really clear drink. So there's another thing. So that's really a lot of the things that you're going to want, you know, just basic tools that will get you almost every single drink out there. These are just basic tools. You can buy them almost anywhere, online, Amazon. I'm sure even Cub Foods probably carries things like that. So with that, let's go ahead and start making our first drink. So the first drink I wanted to do is based on F. Scott Fitzgerald. And I picked this drink mainly because F. Scott Fitzgerald is one of my absolute favorite authors. I did a whole thesis on The Great Gatsby, the green colors throughout the book. And I thought, you know, there's nobody better, St. Paul, you know, he lives here. And so I thought we have to find a drink that goes for him. So he is known for a gin Ricky. And a gin Ricky started, I've got notes, sorry, so I don't know everything. So during the 1870s, Colonel Joe Ricky was a deep sea kind of bigwig out there. And he came up with this recipe at a bar called Shoe's Bar. And so it's called a gin Ricky because it's based off of him. Now, the original recipe probably wasn't gin. They believe that it was based off of a bourbon whiskey that was a house whiskey that they had, and eventually had been turned into gin because it was, you know, more unfavorable during the times. So what we're going to do is we're going to start, and this is a pretty basic recipe. So we're going to start with the gin Ricky. So we're going to take our shaker, and we're going to fill it about 3/4 full of ice. So here I've got it. It's about 3/4 full of ice. What am I doing? This is not it. Oh my gosh, I'm doing the wrong drink. Sorry. I'm all on strainers. This one's built in the glass. Look at me. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill our glass full of ice. So here's our glass full of ice. And we're gonna take a gin. And when I gave you all of these recipes, I didn't specify the alcohol because I know that's a flavor taste, and some people like really ginny gins. Some people like a little bit more mellow gin, a dry gin. So I'm going to use what I call, it's a big gin. So this is out of Seattle. It's a small little company, and all they do is gin. And this is a very strong juniper gin. but it's a little bit aged because it's been aged in barrel, so it does soften it a little bit. And I really love the flavor of this one. So we've got our glass, we've got our jigger. We're going to add 2 ounces of our gin. Okay. Then we are going to add the juice of half of a lime. So I cut my lime into wedges just because I thought it would be easier. It's easier to squirt, or you can actually just fresh squeeze it. So you can do either or. I'm just going to use these. I'm just going to squeeze it over, drop it in. So this is going to be, if I did it in half, this is going to quarters. These are going to be 4 of these. So we're just going to squeeze 4 of these in. Drop them in. I think I might have put too much ice in. But that's okay. It's still going to taste good. So squeeze it over, drop them in, and we're just going to top with some plum soda. And then I like to give it a little stir because you've got all that lime juice at the bottom, and then you've got your gin. And when you just want to kind of even it up a little bit, we'll just stir it just a tad, just to give it a little stir so that everything's kind of stirred up. Maybe push a little bit limes down. And then what isn't better? You got to have a fun straw. And there you go. That is your gin Ricky. And you can imagine that F. Scott Fitzgerald, with The Great Gatsby, he wrote this into The Great Gatsby, and Tom Buchanan makes a tray full of these for his guests. And they're on Long Island in the middle of summer. You can imagine just how refreshing this drink would be in the middle of summer. So good, so good. The other thing you can do with the gin Ricky, like I said, you can do bourbon. So you could make the same exact thing, 2 ounces of bourbon. You wanted to add a different, rum, it almost becomes a little bit like a mojito without the mint, but just the nice, this little daiquiri. So you can switch that up as well. Okay. I feel like I want you guys to talk to me and tell me what you think if you've got a chance to make that. So, okay, second drink we're going to do is, now this is one of my favorite drinks, and it's a daiquiri. And can I just interrupt for 1 second? Absolutely. Yeah.
We had a non-gin drinker here that tasted it and said it's pretty good.
It is pretty good, right? It's pretty refreshing. Yeah. Good. So going back to the daiquiri. So for some reason growing up, I thought daiquiris were like, you felt like those slushy machines that you kind of pull it down and it's this slushy, syrupy, mixy daiquiri thing. And I mean, I hated them. I'm not like a huge sugar drinker. And so I really just kind of stayed away from daiquiris because I thought these are not my drinks. Then I did come upon the Hemingway daiquiri, and I made it at home. Actually, I started making these at home during quarantine. My husband and I in March, we would just make them, and they go over so well, especially in the spring. But anyway, so the Hemingway daiquiri. So it's been attributed to Hemingway that he would go down to Cuba, and when he was in Cuba, he would drink mojitos. And then when he was down in his house in Florida, he would drink daiquiris. And apparently there's 2 bars down there. If you've ever been down there, they're competing on who has the best daiquiri, who has the right Hemingway daiquiri. I mean, there's a lot of that. But we're going to go over this recipe. But I love this quote. So there's a quote that is attributed to him, but it's misattributed, but I still love it. It says, "Write drunk, edit sober." And it's always attributed to Hemingway, although he never said it. Apparently, he was a big proponent of not drinking while he was writing, which was probably very smart. But it's kind of fun. So we're going to go through this, and let's see. So the thing about Hemingway is that he didn't like sugary drinks, just like me. He was not a big sugary drink. So this came about, he kind of came up with his own recipe where he doubled the alcohol and omitted the sugar. And so this has kind of evolved, and they say that this has evolved a little bit. They've added the maraschino into it to give it a little bit of sweet, because if you really tried to make the original double the alcohol, the no sugar with just the grapefruit and the lime, oh, it's so puckery. I don't know how anybody could get through that, but apparently he could. And he has been known that he wrote a letter saying that he downed 16 daiquiris without a hangover. So I don't know, I can't do that, but that's amazing. Okay, so what we're gonna do is that I jumped the gun, but I got my shaker. It's 3/4 full of ice, like we talked about before. Now we're gonna go through our list, and we're gonna add everything. So here, let's touch the Forge and Foundry. We do vodka and rum. So I am gonna go ahead and use our white rum, which is an unaged rum, and it's based off of brown sugar. So I've got our Forge and Foundry rum. We're gonna do 2 ounces of the rum, so 2 ounces of the sugar. We're gonna fill it all the way up. Okay, we're gonna pour that in. Okay, then if you guys did, like we heard before, got the tub, got your maraschino or your Luxardo liqueur. Okay, this stuff is heaven. If you've ever had the maraschino cherries, I'm not talking about these ones, not these ones, not these lovely red ones, but the ones that are really, really dark that you get for a good old fashioned. Those ones that have been soaked into this Luxardo are just so good. This stuff is so good, you could pour it over ice cream for a nice little treat. It's kind of fun. So anyways, so we're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of this. Now this is just gonna add a little bit of that cherry flavor, but it's also gonna give you a little bit of that sweetness to offset the tartness that we're gonna have with the lime juice and the grape juice. So we'll pour that in. Okay. Now, I just want to make up a point about drinks, because I know somebody, Jody at the library was nice enough to give me some of the questions that you guys had already put in, and somebody mentioned, like, why are drinks so sweet? Why are they so sugary? And I'm going to tell you, drinks should not be so sugary. There should be a really good balance of a sweetness and an acid. And that acid can come from a lime, it can come from a lemon, it comes from grapefruit. So like I said, you're seeing, we're putting that maraschino in, and now we're gonna balance it out with our grapefruit and our lime juice. And a good cocktail bar should have a really good balance of that. Tiki drinks, I know tiki drinks are notorious for being super sugary, super sweet, but if you go to a real cocktail tiki bar, they're really balanced. And that's because they really don't want you to have that super sour or that super sweet. And a good drink will have that. So if you're getting super sweet drinks, talk to your bartender. You really don't need that. So, okay, 3/4 of our fresh squeezed lime juice. Okay, there we go. And then 1/2 ounce. I happen to have pink grapefruit. You have regular grapefruit, doesn't really matter. This is just going to give it a really pretty color. I just happen to have it. I didn't want to go out and buy. And then I think a lot of drinks, go and use what you have in your fridge. If you've got, pink grapefruit instead of regular grapefruit, you don't have to go out. It's fine. Nobody's coming after you. Okay, so shake. Now, when we go to shake this, so what we're doing when we're shaking this is that this is actually the ice in there with the friction on the tin is diluting it a little bit. So you're not going to end up with such a strong flavor. And a shaken drink is going to dilute it more than a stirred drink. So this is going to help with that really strong flavors, because we did put 2 ounces of alcohol in here. So when we're shaking it, what we're going to do is about 10 to 15 seconds of our shaking. And you'll be able to feel, you want to feel it get cold on the outside. When you feel that it's getting cold on the outside, your drink is done. So we'll just shake it. You can do it really fancy. You can do it over your shoulder, however you want to do it. Okay, it's feeling cold. It's kind of icy on the outside. I don't know if you can see that, the condensation. We're going to do this. Put it up. Okay. Another thing that somebody had asked about was, does it make a difference to the glass? And I'm going to say yes and no. So we've got our strainer in. We're just going to strain it up. Got that. And then we are just going to garnish it with a pretty little lime wedge on the outside. And there you go. Your daiquiri that's unsweetened. Now, I know that this does say that you can put it over ice and that will dilute it. So if you wanted a little bit of crushed ice, you could just crush it on the top and then pour it over. That'll give it a little bit more slushy. I like it straight up like this without that. Like I said, it's a little bit stronger. And then if you put that crushed ice in there, that will dilute it a little bit more. So going back to the glass. So like I said, somebody had asked, does it matter what glass you put it in? And like I said, I'm going to say yes and no. So what I mean about that is that if you get a glass, say a martini glass that we're going to use later, you kind of know what you're getting with this. It's usually going to be spirit forward glass. Spirit forward drink. You can see it. It's going to be lovely looking. If you get a glass like we did before, the Collins glass, and then we fill it with ice, we know we're probably going to get something that's a little bit more watered down. And the other thing is that you just want a beautiful glass because we eat with our eyes. You know, the first thing that we see is that we see it and we, oh my God, this is such a lovely, a lovely drink. Look how beautiful is that? Who doesn't want to drink that? Beautiful garnish. I love a good garnish. I mean, you come down here and you're going to see us garnishing, for all the time because I really love a good garnish because you do eat with your eyes. So I say yes or no. Is anybody going to come after you if you put this in a red Solo cup? No, it's going to taste good, but get a nice glass.
I gotta know though, what is that? Yeah. Is that a Homer Simpson mug? What is that glass back there?
This one?
Yes.
Okay, so that was one of the things. So I wanted to show you. So this is a tiki mug, and I brought it in because I was going to show you guys. It makes a difference. You're getting something in here. It's probably pretty intriguing. You don't think that this is going to be, your standard drink. So whatever comes in this drink could come in, any glass, like this. But when you're at the bar, what do you want to drink out of? You want to drink out of a fun drink and a fun glass.
That one looks like I wouldn't remember it the next day.
You might not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is from out in California, during a bar out there. But I mean, any kind of, a pretty glass, I think just makes a huge difference. Here's another one. When you're doing like, an old fashioned, it's nice to have a real pretty crystal glass, versus, something that's just plain. Although this is a lovely glass, you garnish it, it's still going to be beautiful. You put a clear ice chunk in here, that's just going to be lovely as well. But I say, invest in some glasses. This one happens to be, this is a special glass to me. This was given to me by my mother-in-law, and I have a whole set of them. It's a crystal glass, and this is what I drink my daiquiris out of because I love this glass, and I feel so, roaring 20s, thinking I'm down in Florida with my glass. So anyways, so cheers to all of you. I hope you enjoyed the Hemingway daiquiri. And now you have a bottle of the Luxardo cherry. Okay, so another tip with this Luxardo cherry, if you happen to purchase it. So if you're going to make an old fashioned, so sometimes you want to, when you do an old fashioned, you're gonna use your alcohol, and then usually it's like sugar, and you can put maple syrup over it to dilute it a little bit. Put a little bit of the Luxardo cherry juice in it. It's delicious. So there's another use for your Luxardo cherry, and ice cream. Okay, so hope everybody's handling it. We're keeping up. Okay, so now we're going to go to Dorothea Parker. Now I picked her because, again, I'm a fan of hers. Her wit, her charm, her poetry. I really, really like it. I love the fact that here's this woman and she really loved whiskey. And so there's a whole group of women that whiskey out there. And I know Dorothea Parkey would be right in that group. Apparently she tried many other things. She tried gin, that made her sick. And she always ended up going back to whiskey. And her choice, although she did drink a lot of different drinks, they do say that the whiskey sour was her favorite. So with the whiskey sour, you can make it with or without eggs, an egg white. And I picked this drink because one, I think people are intimidated by the egg white. And I want to tell you, you don't have to be intimidated by egg whites. I'm going to show you what we're going to do and how they add to it. But if you're allergic to them, you just don't want to have, you know, an uncooked egg white, you can certainly make this drink without the egg white as well. Here's another fun quote from her. Again, so many of these fabulous quotes by these authors are misattributed. So this is the one that she had. She said, "I wish I could drink like a lady. I can take 1 or 2 at the most. 3, I'm under the table, and 4, I'm under the hose." I mean, isn't that awesome? So anyways, okay, so let's go ahead. We're gonna make the whiskey sour. Again, we're gonna go back to our shaker to shake and drink. So first thing we're gonna do, we're not adding ice to this. We're gonna do what they call a dry shake. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go ahead and put all of the ingredients in here. We're gonna close it and we're gonna give it a good shake. And what that's gonna do is if you've ever kind of whipped up egg whites, it's gonna make it foamy and frothy, and it's gonna make the drink really silky smooth. And it's just gonna give it this wonderful mouth feel when you do it. But to do that, we've gotta do a dry shake. So we're gonna take our egg and we're gonna crack it. And we're gonna hopefully not get the yellows in here. So see if I can do this. Just getting my egg white. Did I get it? Oh, I got a little. Okay, I'm gonna do it again because I want it to be good. Egg whites are not easy, are they? Okay. See, we all make mistakes. Not easy. Okay. I'm gonna tell you, at our cocktail lounge, we have a love-hate relationship with the egg white drinks. We love them because they taste so good, and we don't love making them because, again, they're not the easiest. So we've got our egg white in there. Now we're going to go again. We're going to do a bourbon in here for our whiskey. So I just picked, I happen to have it at home. It's Bullet. It's pretty generic bourbon here. So we're going to go ahead, 2 ounces of our bourbon. Hopefully you just have some other kind. If you don't have bourbon, just use another whiskey or rye. That would be good too. We're gonna do 3/4 of our lemon juice. Okay, 1/2 ounce. Oops, I forgot my simple syrup. Let me just grab that. Okay, simple syrup. So simple syrup, I did give you guys a recipe. So simple syrup is just equal parts water and sugar that's been melted together until the sugar is dissolved. And you can go ahead and make that, and then you can keep it in a container in your fridge. It's probably good for, I don't know, a month or so. The other thing about simple syrup is that you can just go ahead and you can make all different kinds of simple syrup. Another question that we had was, what are some festive drinks that you can make over the holidays? Simple syrup, making some different kinds of simple syrups to add to your drinks just enhances them. So one thing that we like to do is do a simple syrup and throw in some rosemary, and then just let it steep in there and then cool with the rosemary, and then you've got a rosemary simple syrup. Or if you like cranberries, you know, that's very holiday, throw in a cup of cranberries, let them cook with your sugar and your water, and then you've got a cranberry. Or do cranberry rosemary, add that into a drink, you know, when you just substitute for the sugar, your cranberry rosemary. Very festive, very delicious. So play with that. Okay, So now we're gonna go 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. The other thing that's great about simple syrup is like if you're going to be doing an old fashioned, I know that sometimes you have to, you would muddle kind of the sugar cube in the bottom, but you can also do simple syrup in there and not have to worry about it breaking down. So simple syrup is kind of fun that way. Okay, so now we've got, I believe, everything: our bourbon, our lemon juice, our simple syrup, and our egg white. Now we're going to do our dry shake. Again, got it really nice and tight. We're just going to do the same thing, like 15 seconds. Just shake that thing away. We're going to really, really shake it. Now this one, you really got to get at it because you really want it frothy, frothy, frothy. And this might be just a little bit more than you would. Oops, I lost mine. Okay, now we're going to put in, I don't know if you can see it, it's really frothy. Now we're going to go ahead, put in our ice. We're going to shake it again. Lost my ear thing. Okay. Yep, nice and frothy again. Okay, now fingers crossed. Let's hope this comes out. So we got this beautiful glass. My goal is to try to fill it up. Let's see if I succeeded. There's my strainer. There it is. Look how beautiful that is. So now what should happen is you should start seeing a separation where the egg froth will start coming up to the top and then it'll separate a little bit. But isn't that just so pretty with that froth of that egg on it? Now what you want to do to make it even prettier, seeing that on the top, is you can take your Angostura bitters. So these are pretty common bitters that you can put on the top. If I can do, we're gonna make a cute little design if I can do this. I'm just gonna put it. Okay, so I put 3 little dots on the top, and then I'm just gonna run through the middle of it, and I made cute little hearts. Okay, so how am I gonna do this? Can you see that? I don't think you can see it. Yeah, you wanna lean down that. Let's lean it down. Can you see? Can you see those cute little hearts that we put on the top of that? There we go. That's kind of fun. So that's it. That's your whiskey sour. And you can do all different kinds of little, if you want to get creative, dots around the edge. You can do kinds of things. I'm going to lean that just up just a tad more. Yeah, just a tad more. Okay. Whoop, down. Sorry, down. Perfect. Okay. So the other thing that you can do with a sour is that you can adapt this too. So maybe you're not a bourbon fan, you're not a whiskey fan. Instead of that, you can take 2 ounces of any other alcohol that you want. You can make it a gin sour, you can make it a rum sour, and then you just follow the rest of the recipe. The 1 teaspoon of the simple syrup, or the 1/2 ounce of the simple syrup with the lemon juice, and then the egg white optional. But go ahead, you can switch this out. Try it with the bourbon, try it with the gin, try it with the rum, try it and just see what you like. So that's another one. Okay. I wonder how we're doing on time. Hopefully good. Okay, so we're doing good on time. Okay, so now we've gone through our authors, and now let's go ahead and make one of the most famous drinks that Ian Fleming actually made up. So this is going to be the James Bond Vespa Martini. So it goes that James Bond made up this drink in what was it? Casino Royale, that's it. Yep, so apparently that was in here. And so he had it, he gave the directions with everything. And so we're gonna go ahead and do that. So the famous line, shaken, not stirred. Okay, so this is up for debate. So if we shake it, we're getting away from what a good martini is because you're diluting it too much. Really, you don't want to shake it. You do want to stir it. So I'm going to go against James Bond and I'm going to stir it. 2 reasons: it's going to make a better drink. And the other reason is that I want to show you how to stir a drink too. So we're going to get another little lesson here. So hopefully you are going to follow along here. Okay, so what first thing I'm going to do, I've got my martini glass. I'm going to fill this up with ice. Now the reason I'm doing this is, and I've got crushed ice here. You can use regular ice. I'm just filling it up because it's not been in the fridge. So if you want your martini glass to be pretty cold, because like I said, we're going to be straining out that ice, but you do want to keep the alcohol cold. So what we're going to do here, we filled up the martini glass with ice. Again, you can have it in the fridge, you can pull it out. So here it is. So we're just going to set it there and let it chill while we go to make our drink. Okay, so we've got that. Now, I said shaker, I'm wrong, I'm going to do it in here. So what we're going to do, we're going to fill up our glass here. Same thing, about 3/4 full with that. Now we're going to go, this is a little different. Most martinis don't have gin and vodka in it. Let's see, do I want to do the big gin? No, you know what I'm going to do? I brought in Sapphire. A lot of people like the London Dry gin, so I thought this would be a good one. I think you know, James Bond would like this one. So this is pretty spirit forward. 3 ounces of gin, 1 ounce of vodka. Yeah, these are gonna keep you on your toes. So 3 ounces of gin. 2, flip her over. 3. It's okay if you make a mess before we got a bar mat. Okay. And we're going to use vodka, which is our vodka from Forge and Foundry. We do make just a vodka, and this is a corn-based vodka. We're going to do 1 ounce of vodka. Okay, now the Lillet. So Lillet, I think Lillet. Is that what they have to say in French? Lillet. Now they don't pronounce the T, Lillet. So if you've ever had this or haven't ever had this, so Lillet is out of France. It is based off of a wine and then macerated alcohol. So the maceration is when they take alcohol and then they kind of infuse it. So this has been infused with different citruses, probably by the color, I'm going to say probably some lemons, some oranges. It's really, really, really lovely. It's an aperitif. So you could, you know, what you have kind of like after dinner, you can have it over ice, you know, just a little drink, you know, afterwards. But it's really lovely if you haven't had it. So if you don't have this, you can certainly use a dry vermouth. You're going to kind of it'll give it a little bit of a different flavor, but you can certainly use that as well. Okay, so 1/2 ounce of this. Stick that in. Okay, and now the stirring. What do I do? We'll use this one. Okay, so when you're stirring, what you want to do is you want to get your stir stick behind the ice. And my ice is kind of thin here, but what you're going to do is you just kind of want to go on the outside and stir it. And what you're looking for is that you just want to dilute it to where it kind of comes up. So you kind of wash it so that it's got a little bit more. So I can see that it's more than what I started with. So when you're stirring it, that's about how much you want to dilute it. Not too much, because again, this is a very spirit forward drink, and we don't want to dilute it too much like we do with the shaking. So I'm going to take my martini glass. I'm going to dump my ice. Going to just get a little bit of the water out, nice and chilled. I'm going to take my strainer. I'm going to try and hold it over here. This is it. I have a little bit of hard time with this one. And we're just going to strain it right into our glass. Isn't that pretty, how clear that is? And then what you're going to do is you're just going to add, and I pre-cut these ahead of time, but just a little lemon twist on the outside. And I think a nice drink that James Bond would be happy to drink. Ooh, that's strong. That's good. We like that one. Okay. So
Do you not add olives to that?
No, he doesn't have olives in his, but you know what, a dirty martini where you used a little bit of the olive juice, you could certainly do that, the same thing, and add that in place of the lila and the dried vermouth. You could have that and it'd be a dirty martini. But this one doesn't. This is his recipe, the Ian Fleming recipe that he did. So those are our 4 drinks. And they're pretty basic drinks. They're nothing too fancy, but I think this gives you good basic drinks that you can have, start with and keep building. Like I said, you change the martini, put a little bit of the olive juice in it. The sour, switch it up, to different drinks. The gin Ricky, you could do a bourbon, you could do a whiskey, you can try different drinks for them. It doesn't have to be the same thing. Some of the things that you'll see a lot of, if you want to make your own drinks, you want to build them, a good way to do it, there's a ratio that they have. It's a 2-1-1. So it's 2 parts alcohol, 1 part sweet, 1 part sour. And if you look at a lot of the recipes, that's kind of how they're broken down to. So 2 parts of alcohol. So you can have, maybe it's a rum drink and you've got like a pineapple rum drink. And then you have the other half is just a regular drink and a regular rum. You can have lemon and lime, or just lemon or lime or grapefruit. Then you could have the sweetness. The sweetness can come from a syrup. It could come from, a really sweet juice. But that 2-1-1 ratio, you start looking at the drinks, that's a basic one. Just to get you started to how you can start building drinks on your own. So like I said, I would, if you want some really festive cocktails, make a simple syrup with the rosemary, make it with cranberries, you can do a cinnamon simple syrup. Think of all that. We do here, we make all different kinds of it, baking spice, we've got a gingerbread, we've got a cranberry. There's simple syrups that we put into our drinks and they just give it that extra little something. So I would definitely recommend playing around with those kinds of things. And herbs are really good. Sage would be a lovely one to put in there, a simple syrup. It'd be fun. So those are the drinks that I had for you based out of literary figures. Like I said, I really enjoyed them. I hope you guys did too. I hope you had the opportunity to make a couple of them along with me. And for enjoying the cocktails.
I think it was great. I just changed this one up. This was the Hemingway daiquiri because I couldn't find that cherry that you were talking about.
Oh yeah, so
I used pomegranate, and it's
fabulous,
nice and
fabulous.
red.
Oh, and how festive would that be with some pomegranate? That would be super festive. Yeah. So. Yeah, maybe we're going to switch it to gallery view so I can see all of your faces because I've been looking at myself here. Let's see.
We have a question in the chat that's asking, how did you learn so much about booze?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so I've never been a beer lover. I've always been alcohol, and I love cocktail drinks. I love a good cocktail drink. And so my husband and I have always gone to cocktail drinks. We've always gone to distilleries. And we ended up having twin boys 12 years ago now. And when we had them, my husband stayed home with them and I worked. And we kind of got to the point, they got to school and he said he needed something to do. And we kind of looked around and said, well, I was like, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, he always did brewing at home, so he always did beer. We had beer in our basement, probably like a lot of men. And we kind of said, well, there's a lot of breweries out there. And so we said, well, what if we opened a distillery? Could we do it? What could we do? It would be really fun. We love cocktails. We love building cocktails, trying cocktails. That's what we really love. And we always were going to distilleries. And so it kind of grew from there. And 5 years later, here we are opening a cocktail bar in a distillery. So I guess I've always had a love of cocktails. So that's kind of how it started.
Great, that's fun. Somebody also asked, what's the best-selling cocktail at the Forge and
Oh,
Foundry?
the best-selling. Okay, so our best-selling cocktail here right now is probably our main. So we're doing. For those of you that don't know us, so we are a craft distillery. We are making vodka and rum. Those are the only things. We've only been open since August. My husband distills everything on site here and the location. So we bring the grains in, we cook them, we distill them, we bottle them. Everything is done right on site, downtown Main Street here in Stillwater. In our cocktail room, we're able to sell drinks with the alcohol that we make. And so this summer we were open, we had the cocktail, you could come in, you could have different things. When the governor shut bars and restaurants down a few weeks ago, we freaked out and was like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this? So when our room was open and our cocktail room was open, our biggest drink was a mule. So everybody loves a good mule. We've got copper cups. They really love that. But then now we've got what we call the Main Street Sipper, and it's a limoncello pomegranate drink. It's really festive. It comes with cranberries and rosemary, and that's probably the most popular drink right now. Yeah.
Great. There was just a question asking, is the distillery currently open for takeout?
It is, well, so yes, so what we can do is we can sell alcohol bottles. So we can sell 375 bottles, and we can sell the cocktail kits. So with the cocktail kits, you're able to get a 375 milliliter bottle of alcohol, and then you get everything here, I'll show you. So you get everything in to make a drink. So you get the recipe, you get the straws, you get the syrup, everything you would need to make them. And they come in 4- and 6-person drinks. And this really has been saving us. We were really panicked, what, COVID was going to do and how it was going to affect us. So this has been really nice. So yes, you can. Jody, do you want me to answer some more of these questions? I've got a bunch of lovely questions here.
Sure.
Let's see.
Feel free to jump in if anybody has a question they want to ask.
I know somebody here asked about super clear ice. Wow. And so they wanted to know, so here's a sample of a lovely, isn't this so beautiful? This clear, super clear, that in a
How did you make it so clear?
So I didn't make it. So yeah, this is really lovely. When you put it in, it almost disappears in the glass. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of work to make clear ice. If you've got the time, go for it. So what happens with ice is that, and you go into your fridge, is that ice will freeze from the outside in. So any impurities go right into the middle of your ice cube. And so what they need to do to get pure ice is that you almost have to do a slow freeze. And what you're trying to do with it, which sounds really crazy, but you're trying to almost freeze all of your impurities out, to one side so you could kind of cut it off. And that's a process where I've read different ways to do it, and you've got to put it into a little, one of those little Coleman coolers. So you put it in that, and then you put it inside a freezer so that it slowly does, freezes, and it kind of goes to the outside. It is a long process. My recommendation is that buy it. They're not super expensive. They especially if you're gonna have friends over. This is the wow factor of these ice cubes. It's just amazing. And I believe that they sell them. I think they sell them locally. It's called Minnesota Pure or Pure Ice.
Clear
and
ice.
And I think you can just get it. Maybe Kowalski's has it locally. We buy it from the distributor and have it here in big containers of ice. Okay, somebody also asked how to make a good Manhattan. That's a great question. So what you want to do is you want to take your 2 ounces of your bourbon or your rye, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. I don't have, no, I don't have any of that. I will make this. 2 dashes of the Anagostra bitters, that we talked about before. And then one dash, they make like this, but it's like an orange cap and it's an orange bitters. And then you want one of that. And then what you're gonna do is that you're gonna do, mix it into the glass, the mixing glass that we talked about. You're gonna stir it until it's chilled. You're gonna strain it into your glass. And then you're gonna do brandied cherry on top. So I really, like I said, Luxardo makes such a fabulous cherry. I would do that and just do that. And that will make a really good Manhattan.
That sounds yummy. Another one that wasn't on there because it was late, submitted late was asking about dry ice, about drinks with dry ice. Do you do any?
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's funny. I love a good dry ice drink. So we were gonna do it over Halloween. Is that we had these little cauldrons and we put the dry ice and then it kind of bubbled up. Okay, so I'll tell you the problem with dry ice is that you can't, you want to make sure that you're not going to drink and ingest any of the dry ice because it can be very, very dangerous. And it can, if you get it into your stomach, it can, like burst your stomach. I mean, I read all these horrible things that it could do. And so you have to be really careful about it. And I was really nervous with giving the public dry ice and fearful that, somebody might ingest something. So we didn't do it. But yes, dry ice is fabulous looking. There is a company, oh God, I wish I could remember it. There's a company that makes these cups and they're kind of shaped like this, but they kind of come to a V. And they got this little portion of the bottom that you kind of unscrew and you can put the dry ice in. And then you put your drink into it. And it's got just tiny enough holes that the dry ice doesn't come through. And it gives you that effect. And I've seen it where they do it and then they put like that boba tea, those little rounds in it. And it is just the coolest effect that it just kind of floats up and then it's got this smoke. It's really, really cool, but it's the glass that makes it safe. So yeah. Oh, 7:28. My God, where'd the time go? Jeez. Are there any other questions? I'd love to answer. Oh, here, so one of the other things I wanted to talk about is that somebody asked, we talked about the no sugar drinks. One thing that you can do is that if you don't want sugar, use a sugar substitute. So we did a drink this summer. It was a watermelon drink and we did stevia in it. And so we balanced it out with the stevia and the lime and it was watermelon. So the sweetness is coming from the watermelon with just a touch of the sweetness from the stevia, but it had no extra sugar into it. So maybe try, if you're really looking for something that doesn't have the added sugar of a sugar syrup or something like that, use stevia, use another artificial, sweetener if you want, monk fruit, something like that. That can help that, or just stay away from it and use like, a natural sweetener, that you would find, orange juice or another fruit that would be really sweet. A pineapple juice will give you that sweetness without the added sugar. There was one other good question I wanted to ask. What was that one? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
There was another substitution one asking about half and half substitution.
That's what I was going to get to. Yeah. So, so if you have an aversion to half and half or just don't like the flavor, I haven't tried these, but I'm thinking that maybe there's so many different milks out there. Like I personally like a cashew milk. I think I would try a cashew milk, or if you don't mind the taste of coconut and you still want a really creamy, there's cream de coconut, and I'm not talking about like there's like a squeezy cream de coconut. That's really sugary. You don't want that. There's like actually a can, and it's cream of coconut. I think you find it. I think Cub has it in the Asian section. That is really thick. You shake it up, and it's going to give you that kind of that creamy half and half feel, but it will give you a little bit of the coconut flavor in it. So depending on the drink that you're putting it into, just be warned on that. So I would just try, like any of those over-the-counter almond milk, cashew milk, any of that, and see if that gives you that creaminess without the milk, the half and half.
Great. There was one other question back to the Manhattan that I didn't see. He was asking, what's the main difference between a Manhattan and an old fashioned?
Oh, sheesh. Oh gosh, now you're testing me. The difference between a Manhattan and an old fashioned. I think it's because the Manhattan has a vermouth in it, and the old fashioned doesn't. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah. So in Manhattan, you have a little bit of the orange in it. But that's not true. The Manhattan has the orange in it too. So, oh, bourbon. Yeah. But you can do bourbon or rye. So I want to say it's just really the kind of the vermouth. They're pretty close. Yeah. She's need to study up more. We don't do brown drinks yet. We're just working on them. So I'm still learning so many things. Oh, somebody wanted to know my favorite drink, which is I mean, it's so I'm a rum drinker. I love a good tiki drink. I'm really good. I love tiki bars. They're super fun to me. So right now I drink it's called the double rumkin, and it's equal parts of this Martinique cane sugar that I can only buy online. It's super craziness. So it's this Martinique sugar. It is overproofed rum, and then a pineapple rum and lime juice. And so it's a little bit of that sweet and sour, a little tiki, but then it's really, really rum. So that right now that's my favorite drink, but it changes all the time. Any other questions for me? I love seeing all your faces. This is fun. Hi. Gosh, there's so many of you guys. And, oh my God. Well, I guess what are we at, Jody? How are we doing on time? Well, we're 7:31.
I think you're perfect. Yeah, I think you've gotten through most of the questions and did a great job. So thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you guys so much. I mean, this was such a pleasure to be part of your group. And from the bottom of my heart, I wanted to say thank you. I know some of you, I know some people here, I know there's some people I know on here who have come down and have supported us and have supported other businesses down here in Stillwater. And it's so needed right now. And every little bit helps. And we are just so grateful, and hopefully we can stay open past this and we can all celebrate next summer. And we would love to see you guys down here. We got a beautiful deck, and come and say hello and tell me that you took this class and maybe made a couple drinks and tell me what you think. I'd love to meet you all. So thank you so much. And let me know if there's anything. You can reach out to me. My email, I did put it on there, but I'm Christie at Forge and Foundry distillery.com. If you have any questions, I'm happy to reply. You have a drink recipe that you want to run by me, or you want, something, some recommendations, some alcohol, anything, just go ahead and email me. I'd love it. So thank you guys. Thank you, Stillwater. Thank you, library.
Thank you. We'll see you again.
Sounds good. Take care. Happy holidays.